singing in our Scottish state school systems is quite complex in terms of how teachers have, what resources and tools they have to access that skill for themselves, and then to be able to do that in a young people's setting. The question that we were asking is, coming out of the pandemic, looking at the complexities, the social and educational complexities of young people in Scotland now, is singing in a communal, inclusive way, can it be found to be a kind of useful metric for well-being? You know, can we increase well-being in the school system, in the class system, in the communities of the school, through that very simple, embodied, free and economic instrument that we all have, which is our voice.
So we were really interested in how do we create a sustainable program so that what Stephen is doing in Loved Music is something that we can distill some of those I wouldn't even say strategies, like those practices that you have, and how can we build a program that isn't about, here's a CD, go and sing along to the CD.
One of the challenges for people when they come to singing is that idea that you are singing with your entire body, and that means your emotional self, your authentic self, your psychological self, all of those component parts, trying to use that as an idea to get them over the very large hurdle of being embarrassed about using their voice in a singing way.
What we're now doing, we're in the second phase of the program, so we've kind of tested the idea in the case studies, and now we're working with our students here at QMU to develop a sort of program of training that they can learn from Stephen to be able to bring this music into their classes. And what's been really interesting for me as a researcher attached to this is watching how when Stephen's working with children, they come without any of their inhibitions.
Yeah.
They're just there in that space, and they just...
And working with adults, they come with all their inhibitions.
all of their inhibitions, exactly.
So that's a sort of really interesting analogy. Yeah.
So what we're trying to do with the work is actually help adults learn to get rid of those inhibitions so that they can do this embodied process that Stephen does. And so some of the things that we're looking at is their own reporting around subjective well-being, because we are interested in well-being as a whole concept.
We're looking at a very long-term picture. You know, we're looking at outcomes in 3 to 5 years in terms of, you know, Scottish singing in Scottish schools. So it's really important to have a sense of a national project. So the National Academic Partnership that we're trying to build and hoping to expand really has a lot of weight in terms of what we're trying to do, and the buy-in that we've already had from your colleagues and from my colleagues who kind of cross research and kind of music delivery is really powerful. Everyone is saying, this is the time, let's kind of gather the evidence, make a shout for it as a national project and see where it takes us.
And that long-term goal that we have is, for those of you who are parents, you will probably know of some of the awards that your children's schools can have, like Eco School Awards or Digital School Awards. We would love to have a Singing for Wellbeing School Award.
Imagine that.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
My head teacher can apply to be their school to be promoted as a Sing for Wellbeing school. What a treasure that would be.
And then individual teachers as well. So that's what makes this a really sustainable project. And I think both Stephen and I are really aware of the ethics and the morals around going in and doing an intervention in a school, especially a school that might be in an area of high deprivation, and then leaving and not staying there. For us, we don't want that extractive research practice, which is why it's so important to us that this remains sustainable, it remain open access and free, and that is what we're building towards.